Hello and welcome back to the third video of this series, and this time I will talk about Graven's Secret Cloth Belt. And the mechanic of this belt is it turns all of the power charges into absorption charges, and that grants players recoup 12% of elemental damage taken as energy shield per absorption charge, and only damage from hits can be recouped over 4 seconds following the hit. And the first idea before I knew about this last part was that I make a Righteous Fire build and recoup the fire damage back to my ES, but it has to be a hit. And then I thought about changing all of my damage that I take from physical, for example, into an element and then recoup it. And because the recoup applies over 4 seconds, I thought if I can make it faster, so it like instantly heals you instead of over 4 seconds. And if you look at recovery, the recovery rate and speed will make you recover the same amount over a shorter period of time. And if you look at the PoB and we look for recharge rate, then we have all of the energy recharge rates. We have 10%, 20%, 35%, 45%, 55%, 65%, 75%, 85%, 95%, 105%, and 150%. And another idea I had was using Transcendence. So armor applies to fire, cold, lightning damage taken from hits instead of physical damage, and minus 5% to all maximum elemental resistances, and do like a build like MBX did with 90% all res builds with a lot of armor, and which gets like 5 million effective HP. And the version with the Graven's belt would need more energy shields, so you can tank one hit and then recoup it very quickly. So I thought adding as many power charges as possible, so you get over 10 and then see what happens there. And adding endurance charges to be more tanky, to add some less damage multipliers. The Trickster has 70% increased recovery rate of life, mana and energy shield if you killed an enemy affected by your damage over time recently. So you can get to 150% from the tree and 70% from the Patient Reaper. And if you look at the Occultist, it gets 50%, so 120%. And if you are an Ascendant, you also get 70% increased recovery rate. And when I thought about the MBX build, had used the Guardian Ascendancy for the 1% physical damage reduction to you and your allies per aura from your skills. And then for different items, you have Malakai's Loop. It grants 2 power charges and a chance to gain a power charge on hit. And the increased spell damage per power charge doesn't apply as far as I know, because it's not a power charge anymore, it's an absorption charge now. So the last line shouldn't apply as well, so you don't lose your power charges and you don't get shocked. And then maybe Will Clash, you don't get the block and the elemental damage per power charge. And I think you gain a power charge every second if you haven't lost power charges recently, and lose all power charges when you block. You can't lose power charges even if you block, and gain a power charge every second if you haven't lost power charges recently. And you can never lose power charges, so this one should actually give you permanently power charges. Storm Prison as a cheap way to get maximum power charges and chance to gain a power charge and kill. And this is the main item, but I'm not sure where it applies in the calculations. Couldn't really make it out, and how I could mod the absorption charges. And then we have this amulet for 1 maximum power charges and increased mana regeneration per power charge. That probably doesn't apply as well. Then 90% increased power charge duration. That should apply. Then 1% damage is taken from mana before life per power charge. This doesn't apply as well, I think. And the reduced critical strike chance per power charge shouldn't apply as well. Then the helmet has 8% physical damage taken as fire damage for more elemental damage taken instead of physical, so we get a higher effective health pool for this. And we can increase our maximum resistances maybe. Cloak of Flame for 20% physical to fire. Crystal Vault has 20% physical damage from hits taken as cold damage, and 30% fire damage from hits taken as cold damage. So maybe that's double dipping that we can use. And then Colton Soul for 20% fire damage from hits taken as cold damage. Taste of Hate for 10% physical damage from hits taken as cold damage during Flask effect. Font of Thunder, Mirrored Spiked Shield for 40% cold damage taken as lightning and 40% fire damage taken as lightning. And then I thought about using the Doriani's chest, but that will come later. And I think one of the best options is the Lightning Coil, because the 30% physical damage from hits taken as lightning damage has the most effect, I think, compared to the other ones, which only have like 20%. Then I thought taking the fist damage as chaos damage and going chaos inoculation. Then the Incandescent Heart with the same effect as the Dark Scorn, 25% elemental damage taken from hits, taken as chaos damage. But with the belt we kind of want elemental damage, and so it's not that good, so Dark Scorn would be better. And Replica Inspiry has 10% of physical damage taken as chaos damage, and if you dual wield, 20%. And then I thought about using at least 10 power charges and the Chevron's Revelation for the no energy regen, and then taking some damage and see if I heal for more than 100% of the damage, like with 10 charges. I should regen 120% of the damage of the hit as energy shield, but with all of my resistances and conversions, I should heal way more than the damage that I take. But it should be over 4 seconds, but with the over 100% increased regeneration rate, it could be over 2 seconds, I believe, because 100% should double the speed. So if I take a 1k hit, I should regen over 1200 energy shield over 2 seconds, so it's like 60% of the damage per second as recuperation. Then the Riani's prototype, Saints Hauberk, for armor also applies to lightning damage taken from hits. Then you apply all of your elemental damage to lightning, for example. Then Militant's Faith for the Transcendence. Then something really good. I think the best in slot could be Blightwell, Clutching Talisman for 20% increased global defenses, as well as the 400% increased energy recharge rate during Flask effect. So you can get like 500% increased. And with the Blightwell Talisman, I think 400% increased energy shield recharge rate is actually 5 times faster. And with the 120%, if you go with the Occultist, then it should be like 6 times faster recoup. And if you divide the 4 seconds that you have by 6.2, then you recoup all of your energy shield within 0.6 seconds. And if you can tank one hit, then you can gain more damage that you take as recuperated energy shield. But the problem with this talisman is you can't really anoint it, as far as I know, unless you're lucky and hit one of the endurance charges, like Vigor, which is the furthest away. But that's really not that important if you recoup so much energy shield in less than 1 second. And Shaper's Touch, just to gain some more energy shield and be tankier with like strength stacking. And I thought about using Eldritch Battery, but I don't think that's good anymore. Then we have Beast for Shoal, and it has 35% increased energy shield recovery rate, but you also have 5% increased damage taken. And Machinamids have 25% reduced recovery rate of life and energy shield, and 5% increased recovery rate of life and energy shield per power charge. And you lose 1 power charge every second if you haven't detonated any mines recently within the last 4 seconds. And I think the 5% increased recovery rate per power charge doesn't apply to our build because they are absorption charges. And if the 10 or more power charges apply, then would be really good, but the mids are very likely just a 25% nerf. Then we have Mask of the Spirit Drinker, Crusader Helmet, If you're a hybrid character, then you could like go with this, and your energy shield starts at 0, because if you're a CI, then you just have 1 HP until you regen something. And I'm not sure about the cannot gain energy shield, how that works. And if you have to go seal its oath, and if you have a lot of ES, then 150 life regeneration per second if you have at least 1500 maximum energy shield. That's like a 10% regen, but the more you have, the less attractive it gets, I think. And then we have Mask of the Stitch Demon, and 1% life regeneration per second per 500 maximum energy shield. And some builds have like 10k, so you get like 20% life regeneration from this item. Then there are jewels with 8% increased energy shield recharge rate. I just want to test something with Tailwind. And I made this clockwork just to get some resistances and test something, but not that important. Then my failed attempts to mod the Recouper. And we have a Watcher's Eye with 50% increased energy shield recovery rate while affected by discipline, or something like that. And that's like the only Watcher Eye mod that's helpful for us. And an Anoint with Vigor for the additional endurance charge. And if you are Trickster, you can get Swift Killer for additional maximum power charge. And then you are at 10 charges. And then you try to increase the recuperate, and your total energy shield pool, get like block maybe, and then you try to make a viable build out of all of the other parts. And that was the third build. The first one was Arns Anguish, the last video was Olesyas Delight, and this one is Graven Secret. I think Legacy of Fury could be interesting, just not for bossing. And maybe for the next video I can figure out the build with Legacy of Fury, and maybe check out my Patreon at patreon.com/extremelylucky. And you can follow me on Twitch on twitch.tv/franklyspeaking. And thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, bye bye.